Coming up as an AT40 Extra is the song that launched one of the top groups of the late 60s. It was a record that flopped its first time around, then 5 years later after its initial release, it was picked up by a Pittsburgh DJ and it shot to #1. And that 5-year delay is the rock era record. Details coming up.
The hits from coast to coast. American Top 40.
Well, now here's the answer to several inquiries we've had in recent months regarding Tommy James of Tommy James and the Shondells, the act that hit #1 with this song in 1968.
Crimson and Clover.
That's the biggest hit they ever had. Well, now let's find out where Tommy is. First, let me say that he's alive and well. But that wasn't the case 5 years ago. He was barely alive, and he was definitely not well. He told us that in 1970, at the height of their career, he and the Shondells split. And during the period of adjustment, he started taking pep pills to keep awake, and he got hooked on them. That's what nearly killed him. It took him a year to break the habit and to score on the charts with a solo hit. That was Dragging the Line. Remember that back in '71? But Tommy says that in spite of his song peaking at #4, getting strung out on the pills had killed his momentum. So he's expecting a long, hard climb to reestablish himself as the top recording artist he was with the Shondells. Tommy's 27 years old now, lives in New Jersey, and he keeps pretty busy playing a lot of college campuses, writing songs, and setting up record deals. I wish him the best of luck.
American Top 40.
Well, now we're up to the latest hit by a man who released his first single when he was only 13 years old. And at that early age, he was leading a group of young musicians who were students at Niles High School in Niles, Michigan. But that first record flopped, never made the charts, until 5 years later, when a disc jockey in Pittsburgh found a copy of that same record collecting dust on some back shelf at his station. He started playing it. That was in the spring of 1966. A few weeks later, it was a national smash, and by mid-July it had moved into the #1 spot. Here's a piece of that song by the group whose lead singer was 13 years old.
My baby does the hanky-panky.
Hanky Panky, a record that failed when it was first released in 1961, but was rediscovered by a Pittsburgh DJ 5 years later and became a #1 smash. Well, the timing on this delayed action hit couldn't have been better, because by that time the group had finished high school, and Hanky Panky was the first of a string of 19 hits that kept Tommy James and the Shondells on the charts together until they separated in 1970. Tommy's been working solo since then, and this is his latest. Up 4 notches to #34, here's 3 Times in Love. Tommy James.
She was all of a lady.
You're hearing the 40 biggest hits in the nation. This is American Top 40. I'm Casey Kasem, and our countdown continues. Well, now we're up to an AT40 Extra, the song that holds the rock era record for the longest time between its initial release and hitting #1. Back in 1961, a 13-year-old singer from Niles, Michigan, released his first single. This barely teenage singer had high hopes for his first release, but the record was a flop, never made the charts. Until 5 years later, when a disc jockey in Pittsburgh found a copy of that same record just collecting dust on some back shelf at his station. Well, he started playing it. That was in the spring of 1966. A few weeks later, it was a national smash, and by mid-July, it was the #1 song in the nation. And that 5-year period between first release and hitting #1 is the longest period any song has ever spent traveling that path. And here's that song that almost fell into oblivion. It was the first of 19 hits that kept Tommy James and the Shondells on the charts until they broke up in 1970. A #1 song from 1966. Here it is. From 1966, Tommy James and the Shondells with the #1 song that launched their career, Hanky Panky, an American Top 40 Extra, as the countdown continues.
Casey's Coast to Coast.